Hello everybody and welcome to another League of Legends Champion Guide. Today I'm gonna show you Annie, the Dark Child. Annie is a ranged nuker mage. She probably has the highest burst in this game and is a huge threat for all squishy enemies. First of all, let's go into detail about her spells. Her Q spell is called Disintegrate. Annie shoots a fireball at an enemy unit, dealing heavy magical damage. If the target dies from the spell, the mana cost is refunded. This spell is great for last hitting since you get your mana back and do a lot of burst damage. Her next spell is Incinerate. Annie casts a cone of fire, dealing magical damage to all targets in the area. This AoE spell has an enormous damage output and is great in teamfights. Annie's E spell is Molten Shield. Annie shields herself for 15 seconds, gaining armor and magic resistance. Enemies doing basic attacks on her will receive magical damage for each attack. Her ultimate is called Summon Tibbers. Annie summons an avatar of her bear Tibbers, dealing magical damage to all enemies within the area where Tibbers is summoned. Tibbers does basic attacks and deals magical damage to all enemy units around him. Annie can control Tibbers by holding Alt plus clicking. He is great for initiating team fights, for tanking towers, and generally for attacking enemies. And his passive is called Pyromania. After casting 5 spells, and his next spell will stun all the targets it hits for 1.75 seconds. You will always try to have Pyromania ready to stun all your targets and get your team more time to kill them. Okay, now let's go to runes. There are many different rune pages you can use for Annie. The rune set I personally like best is following. My marks give me 8.5 magic penetration, my quintessences give me 15 ability power from the start, and my seals and glyphs give me ability power per level. If you feel you need more mana with Annie, exchange the seals or the glyphs with mana regeneration per level runes. Some people also like using cooldown reduction glyphs to spam their abilities more often and have their ultimate back faster. My masteries are 9021. Alternatively, you can also use 2109 masteries for even more burst. However, if you choose to do so, I strongly recommend using cooldown reduction runes. Okay, now that we know the basics, let's go to some gameplay. With Annie, you will always try to get either mid or solo lane. I do not recommend to go laning with her since you need your ultimate as soon as possible to do massive burst. From mid, you have a great position for ganking on the lanes. For starting item, I use Doran's Ring, which gives me the mana regeneration I do not have from my runes. However, boots and 3-4 heal pots, or regrowth pendant which you can build to Philosopher's Stone, are also popular choices to start with. Your gameplay in the early game will depend on your lane opponent. At the start you will always try to last with your Q to get your stun ready. Once it is, it will keep your enemies away from you. If you play against the melee, you want to attack him with your Q and W spell as often as possible and position yourself behind his creeps to cut him from experience. If you play against the ranged champ, you should not play aggressive and focus on last hitting. If you do not want to kill your lane opponent, you do not need to keep your stun up all the time. You can also last hit with your stun shot. If you feel you still have a chance against him, try to harass him with your spells as often as possible without getting too much damage from him yourself. Once you reach level 6, you will have a great advantage with your ultimate. Then you should be able to burst down pretty much every enemy. To ensure you some kills, your summoner spells should always be Flash and Ignite. If you have your stun ready but are out of range, your enemies feel safe most often, even if they have low HP. This is why you can surprise them and get kills easily with the Flash Q stun combo. While your enemy is stunned, you can get in range to hit your W spell as well and ignite him to get an easy kill. Your core items are Rod of Ages, which you will get first, and Rabadon's Death Cap. Rod of Ages gives you ability power and survivability for being less squishy. Rabadon's Death Cap increases your damage output by a lot. For your boots, you can use Sorcerer's Boots or Mercury's, depending on your enemies. Once you have those items, you should get some magic penetration to increase your burst. Therefore, I can recommend getting Void Staff next. Now, your next items are situational. Against a team with a lot of physical damage, you will get Sonia's Hourglass. Against a team with a lot of magical damage and CC, you can get Banshee's Veil or Abyssal's Scepter. Some people also like getting Mage Eyes with Annie. I sometimes get it after Rod of Ages. However, I do not recommend getting it before Rod of Ages because you will lack the extra HP from Catalyst of the Protector, and you should always get Rod of Ages as fast as possible because of its passive. Annie's role in the mid game can differ in every game. Most often, you want to keep ganking when your ultimate's up. Since you can stun several enemies and have a massive burst, it should be easy to get some kills. If it comes to team fights, I strongly recommend you to keep your stun ready all the time. If you get a chance to hit 2 or more enemies, not tanks of course, with your ultimate, try to do so to initiate a team fight and get your enemies low or even burst them down immediately. If like 3 or more enemies stand close to each other but you are not in range, you can also flash into them to initiate a fight. If you use your ultimate at the right moment, your team should easily be able to win a team fight. So to sum it up, in the mid game, Annie is very strong and important for a team because she has an awesome AoE burst which can turn the tables in team fights. In the late game, it depends whether you should initiate or not. If you have a tank that can do a good initiate, wait with your ultimate till the main carry turns up and burst him down immediately. Okay, last but not least, some tips. First of all, I myself consider Tibbers as the best way of stunning enemies when you're sure you can burst them down. It has a bigger range than your Q spell and many enemies will not expect you to use him. Another very important thing many people forget about when playing Annie is that you can tell Tibbers where to go and who to attack. If you do that right, he can tank towers for your team while they are diving the enemies, or even make enemies run into your traps. That's the end of my guide. I hope you all like it. If you do, then do not forget to rate, comment and subscribe. Next week's guide will be either Poppy or Nidalee. Please leave me a comment below telling me which guide you want to see. Thanks for